I believe that the single biggest hidden threat to brain health is the air we breathe.
That we are disabling our planet's ability to basically detoxify itself.
And if we damage our ecosystem, we're causing damage to us.
Compared to our grandmother's apple, the apple of today is probably about 1/5 of the magnesium content.
Try to do things like people did them for thousands of generations before us. And you'd be surprised how you can prevent things from happening.
I try to be prescriptive about my time outdoor. It's like medicine, so prescribe it to yourself.
To connect with nature is the way to heal, because we are made of nature.
You cannot take an environmentally sensitive patient and have them live in a city and expect them to get well, period.
We start influencing future generations. And I think that's really key too, is that we need to start teaching our kids about sustainable living. We need to teach them about toxins. We need to teach them about why we don't go to McDonald's every week.
Welcome to the final bonus episode of Beyond the Brain. My name is Stefan, and once again I have a few more surprises coming your way. This time, our experts will reveal new truths about our relationship with ourselves and our environment. So far, we've mostly focused on your body. But what about our planet? If we want to improve our health, we have to treat our external world with more care. As you'll see, the solution to living a fulfilled and happy life is so simple, but it's not always easy. You need to start caring for your body the right way, with nourishing foods and drinks, with a good night's sleep, with moving your body and learning how to manage stress and feel more joyful. Nature is always here to help ground you and make you feel better. I hope you got as much value as possible from our Beyond the Brain docuseries. But what if this docuseries was just the first step in living the best decades of your life? Today you can go a step further by joining our video streaming platform Zonia, where you'll find more than 1,000 action-packed videos that will guide you through building your brain health oasis. And today is your absolute last chance to get on-demand access to all 11 episodes of Beyond the Brain. Because once the free screening of this final bonus episode is over, if you decide to join Zonia on a later date, the Beyond the Brain docuseries will not be there anymore. It will be gone. And before we dive into the final bonus episode, I have one big last-minute surprise for you and everyone else who is right now watching this final bonus episode of Beyond the Brain. We have decided to add over $2,763 worth of free essential bonuses to our Zonia platform for everyone who joins Zonia during the free screening of this bonus episode only. And as a special bonus during this limited time viewing only, if you choose the annual Zonia plan, you'll also receive our all-natural herbal detox and sleep supplement bundle worth $158 for absolutely free. That's one bottle of our Restore Detox formula and one bottle of our Restore Sleep supplement as a gift to you. And this is in addition to having on-demand access to all original episodes of Beyond the Brain, plus over 1,000 health bite-sized short videos on Zonia. So I'd love to tell you now more about each one of these bonuses. First, when you join Zonia today for less than 50 cents a day, you'll get downloadable PDF transcripts and MP3 audios of all 9 original episodes of Beyond the Brain, so you can read or listen offline each episode anytime and anywhere you want. You'll also get access to uncensored bonus episodes 10 and 11 of Beyond the Brain, revealing many innovative and natural solutions for flushing out dangerous toxins and reclaiming your brain and overall health while making a difference for our planet. You'll receive on-demand video access to both bonus episodes, as well as downloadable PDF transcripts and MP3 audios of both episodes. Plus, you also get 40 full-length, uncut, uncensored interviews with all 40 doctors and health experts of our Beyond the Brain docuseries. You receive on-demand video access to all of them, plus, again, downloadable PDF transcripts and MP3 audios of all interviews. You also get 3 longevity interviews with 3 healthy non-Nigerians and their secrets. Lastly, you'll get over $1,500 worth of free essential bonuses from our trusted health partners. When you get your hands on these amazing action plans, you'll learn how to improve your hormonal function and regain your resilience. You'll discover holistic options to prevent cognitive decline and proven secrets on how to experience peak brain power, energy, mood, and so much more. And in addition to everything I just mentioned that's included in this bonus package, if you choose the annual Zonia plan today, you'll also get 1 bottle of our Restore Detox formula plus 1 bottle of our Restore Sleep supplement that are valued at $158 for free. Our Restore Detox supplement is a fast-acting detoxification formula with the power of 6 science-backed natural ingredients: NAC, citrus pectin, selenium, dandelion root, milk thistle, and artichoke leaf extract that are proven to help flush out dangerous toxins and promote a long-lasting full-body detoxification that's essential for brain health. Restore Detox action is complemented by our Restore Sleep supplement, which sets a new standard in magnesium supplementation. Restore Sleep is a unique blend containing the 7 most potent chelated forms of magnesium in optimal ratios with the addition of 2 key nutrients: vitamin B6 for maximum mineral absorption and L-theanine for an additional relaxing effect. This creates the ultimate magnesium complex to promote deep restorative sleep, all in one formula. I mean, only the retail price of these 2 bottles is more than the price of the annual plan for Zonia, and you're getting them for free with everything else I just mentioned, so it's really a no-brainer. At Zonia, you'll get simple, all-natural remedies that are life-changing. You'll learn how to cook simple, tasty foods using ingredients with ancient rejuvenation properties, or how to work out every morning from the comfort of your home and get the exercise you need in just 15 minutes a day. You'll get the secrets of deep, restful sleep and a stress-free life with our hypnotherapy, meditation, sleep stories, and other tools that are designed to keep your mindset free of negativity and stress. You'll get practical tips on how to protect yourself from environmental toxins and how to most efficiently detox, renew, and retrain your brain. And best of all, you can get started at your own pace, set your own goals, and decide what content to consume every day depending on your needs. You cannot transform your life 180 degrees overnight, but you can get started right away with just 5 to 7 minutes per day of self-care. In a year from now, you will not recognize your new self. Zonia is the perfect complementary resource to the Beyond the Brain docuseries. If our episodes showed you the what and why, Zonia will show you the how. We've included over 1,000 short videos that present the simple steps to detox, renew, and retrain your brain in an easy-to-digest 5 to 7 minutes video format. Simply choose your favorite topic and get started whenever you want. We've also made access to everything incredibly affordable for less than 50 cents a day and 100% risk-free for the next 7 days. So if you're the type of person who likes to take action, today is the very last day you can get all the benefits of Zonia, plus all 11 episodes of the Beyond the Brain docuseries, and all the extra bonuses for an extremely low investment. This special offer is available only during this free screening of this final bonus episode that ends in less than 24 hours. This means if you decide to join Zonia after this free special screening ends, you'll still have access to over 1,000 health bite-sized videos on Zonia. However, you'll not only lose the chance to get over $2,763 worth of free essential bonuses, but all 11 episodes of the Beyond the Brain docuseries will be gone from Zonia for all new members who join after this free special screening ends. So don't let life get in the way and click on the button below to get started. You have absolutely nothing to lose, but everything to gain. Coming back to this exclusive bonus episode, today we will discuss the relationship between humans and the planet and reveal the shocking data regarding the species extinction happening on the planet Earth. First, let's begin with how we interact with ourselves and each other.
The importance of connecting to nature is the way to heal, because nowadays we live anti-nature. When was the last time your feet touched the ground? Why our body is made of 4 elements: earth, wind, fire, and water. And our earth element in our body is only 30%. But we wear a thick rubber shoes and probably wear shoes in the house, and you're far, far away from nature. Your earth element is very weak. That's why people sick of allergies. To connect with nature is the way to heal, because we are made of nature. The relation of nature to us. 3. Inhale and exhale oxygen, carbon dioxide. We human too. We have elements in the body. We believe that nutrients help us healthy. So the way to heal is to connect with nature, not with chemical or not live anti-nature. So we have to eat not GMO food. We should walk on the grass to receive a mineral from earth, and in the meantime, you can release the electric charge from the body. It helps the body balance. And nature have a power to heal. When you're sick, you go to natural remedies. It doesn't mean we will ignore the new science, but don't live anti-nature, because everything in us is made of nature. If we heal ourselves in line with nature, it only makes us healthy.
Breathing is the most important thing. And the ability for you to take in air through your nose and hold it there and then exhale is exceptionally important, because that changes your neurochemistry immediately. So we know that specific type of breathing are able to change brain physiology and chemistry even over a longer period. And that can improve short-term and long-term memory and anxiety and stuff like that. And so a lot of times I tell people, forget about the supplements just for a second. Let's kind of audit the way that you're actually breathing. Believe it or not, most people kind of hold their breath, especially if they're anxious and if they live in a state of a mentality that they may not be best suited for them. So chronic depression, they may not have the best jobs, maybe they have toxic relationships. So we get into breathing, and then we get into relationships. What are the relationships that are around you look like? What does your daily life really look like? Are you under this constant state of stress? And if you are, let's focus on the actual stress. When you bypass relationships and breathing, and you start taking supplements, the supplements don't necessarily work. Now, some supplements can improve the ability for you to handle triggers and relationships and stuff like that. But once again, it doesn't change brain physiology as much as you think it might change. And so if we were to take the ability for you to move air through your skull, called breathing, and optimize the relationship that are around you and of how you live your daily life, and then also optimize sleep, then that's what's a lot more important. Because why? Your brain grows in deep sleep. If your brain grows in deep sleep and you're not getting enough deep sleep, then obviously it does not have a chance to grow. How does that happen? As it turns out, majority of our body's ability to make growth hormone, which grows your brain and other organs as well, and regeneration, occurs in deep sleep. It's not just deep sleep, but it's multiple cycles of deep sleep, especially the 3rd cycle. In most human brains, each cycle of sleep going from light sleep to mid sleep to deep sleep and REM, it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So it's not until the 3rd cycle that we have this huge amount of growth hormone and stem cells that gets released into the body on the 3rd cycle of deep sleep. So if you do the math, if one cycle is about 2 hours, the 3rd cycle, at least you have to enter hour 6 to complete the 3rd cycle of sleep. Some people, it's hour 7.5. Some people, it's hour 8, right? And so if you're taking all these supplements and if you're eating all the right foods, but your sleep is really detrimental, well, guess what? There's not enough ability for the brain to create that regenerative phase. So focusing on taking away the artificial light after sundown, right? Maybe getting some blue blocker sunglasses, Focusing on just shutting your brain down when it comes to nighttime so you can go to sleep earlier, not eating too late. Those are the things that can improve your circadian rhythm, and you can literally start improving the ability for your brain to grow tonight by accessing your ability to sleep more.
So healthy relationships are important in every aspect of bodily function, but when you look at the brain, I would say even more so. Because it turns out if we are in toxic relationships, we are literally spilling energy that is subconscious. We don't see it, but we can get in a loop of questioning whether or not we should be staying, of wondering if it's our fault, and some of the different types of things like gaslighting, where you question your own thought patterns. And when we do that, we actually spill ATP. We use up energy. And we just said that the brain requires a ton of energy to work correctly. So very often it's a loop that is a vicious cycle, because you will be questioning, trying to get the strength up maybe to either confront the toxic relationship or get out of the toxic relationship. And then you're spinning a bit, and then you use up your energy, and then you're too tired to go. So it's a complex web where toxic relationships can really impact our thought patterning and the very energy that allows our brain to function day in and day out. When we are culturally conditioned, and many of us are, to think of others before ourselves, we almost like bleed into other people, then we end up losing sense of self. And there's an actual energetic component. I think eventually we're going to be able to prove this. And when we spend all of our time and our worth is defined by how much others need us or want us, that's the people-pleasing tendencies that we often trained in our family life, early family or childhood, and that behavior continues throughout into adulthood, then we end up in this same cascade where we bleed energy subconsciously. But we also are never satisfied. We're always seeking. If this person doesn't want or need, we're chasing. And when we have continual chase energy, there is not the ability to really be fully present. And I think as we understand more and more the heart-brain connection, being fully present allows the neurons in our hearts to communicate to our brain more appropriately, and we're able to access parts of our brain and our body like intuition and that gut instinct and emotional stability that allow our parasympathetic system to take over again, where we're not in constant fight or flight. And in constant fight or flight, we know the stress hormones take off, and then they affect every aspect of our body.
Environmental medicine obviously focuses on our environment. And in that environment, we also have to think not only of our internal environment in our body, but we also have to say, well, are we being exposed, or is there an overall health of that environment that is affecting us? And there's thinking of it locally, but also considering it globally. And that global environment is then affecting us locally. The amount of things that we are asking our planet to deal with is getting worse every day. It's not just the one aspect of, well, we're putting too much, pollution into the air. And, you can see the statistics not only from the US, but the biggest global polluters actually are China, India, and Africa, which dwarf the pollution that we're putting into the atmosphere by an exponential amount. So this is a global problem. This is not just a US problem. The consequences of that air pollution, people think of from a breathing standpoint. And they're right. It can affect your breathing. It can cause a lot of different deposits to get into our lungs, which we then absorb and we now have to get rid of. Things like mercury and cadmium and arsenic and, different heavy metals. But where do they go if you don't breathe them in? They don't just stay in the atmosphere. What's happening is they're actually settling into the ground. They're settling into the ocean. And then our Earth now has to deal with that. But it's dealt with that in different ways way before we were here. When a volcano erupts, there's all sorts of different deposits of things that are poisonous. So it has the ability. Problem is, we got to live here. And we are, by far, the worst parasites the world has probably ever seen, because we keep trying to draw from it without putting a whole lot back in. That's why there are so many different varieties of trees, of plants, of grasses, because that's the Earth's way of saying we can deal with this. But we keep wiping them out. And we need to start understanding that we are disabling our planet's ability to basically detoxify itself. And then what are we doing? We are planting food into the very soil that the pollution has settled on and expecting that soil to give us nutrients. So now we're not only getting worse from a standpoint of not being able to get rid of that toxic exposure because of the pollution, but now we're trying to basically nourish ourselves from the soil that's the consequence of that pollution in the first place. So it's a downward spiral. The other problem with that is with that development, with the farming, if we don't become stewards of that farm, what I mean by that is be understanding that it is a living organism. And when you talk to the Organic Farming Association, they are trying to educate farmers on this constantly, because farmers are now having more problems having any crops that actually are giving them the kind of yields they had 10, 15 years ago. Problem is they're planting the same crop every year, and they're putting more pesticides, they're putting more ammonia to try to get some nitrogen into those plants because it keeps being sucked out and they're not getting any true replacement. Just like when we talked about a gut microbiome as far as bacteria, the planet and our soil has that same living, breathing organism. And when we keep putting the same things that are killing it, it's dead earth. And therefore, you're not breaking down any of that organic matter that actually gets the soil to give nutrients when you grow something. So it's a overproduction problem from a pollution standpoint. But I actually think, in my opinion, it's our industrialized farming and the lowering of the nutrient content of every subsequent crop that is actually worsening the planet's ability to restore itself, which is what we're seeing in our species of having more and more troubles of replenishing ourselves. So to me, it's not just save the planet, it's learn why is the planet suffering. And more, because that then becomes a much more personal problem. Instead of just blaming a country and get back on our phone and stare at it all day, it is, why don't I plant a garden? Why don't I grow something? To me, every elementary in our country should have a community garden. Kids should know what food looks like and foster that stewardship back, because then they may find that that's a passion. And then we can get farmers back so it's not one farmer for 10,000 acres of corn or soy all the time, but actually having communities farming enough different fruits and vegetables to actually have a farmer's market big enough to feed maybe half the population, which then gets that cycle out of downward spiraling. But our environment is suffering, and it's not just a save the planet problem. It is understanding how do we work together. Because I do think that there is a way that can happen that balances the industry and the business side of it with the understanding that we can't do this is not sustainable, that would actually benefit it. But we have to have this kind of conversation and an understanding of why it's happening in the first place.
I truly believe that to eradicate chronic disease from the planet, which it can happen, but first we need to have an awareness of what we're doing to our ecosystem. All of the toxins that we're dumping into our planet, it's very important for us to understand that, look, we've lost over 3/4 of our animal species. It was actually very shocking to me when I was looking up that data to get ready for one of our own master classes to see how many of the animal and plant species that we've lost on this planet. It's devastating when we understand that we are a part of this ecosystem. And if we damage our ecosystem, we're causing damage to us. And so with this understanding and this new awareness, it's important that we share this with people. We need to stand up and we need to start saying something. We need to say no. And we need to start speaking with where we spend our money. We need to stop consuming all of these goods that are not only making us sick, but they're making our planet sick. Because if we don't fix our ecosystem, we're never going to be able to heal as as a human race.
These were some powerful words. We're never going to heal as the human race if we don't stand up. Oftentimes, people doubt whether a single person has any impact on the global health of our planet. We knew how common this belief is and needed the doctors to clarify whether that's true. And it turns out that there are plenty of actions we can all implement to reverse this scary situation. More importantly, you also need to hear about the role of the future generations. Listen to this.
How do we help to reverse this? How do we turn this around? And I don't have all the answers. There's such more brilliant people that are really focusing their entire passion on it. But from an environmental medicine standpoint, from what I am passionate about, and that is the next generation, how do we stop this from being a self-fulfilling prophecy of teaching them what we are doing wrong in the first place? Is we have to start realizing that we are the problem. And it's not a political thing. It is not a cultural thing. We all have developed this convenience lifestyle that we have become so accustomed to that is actually indirectly making the problem worse. And it goes through every aspect of our lifestyle, from what we do in the first thing in the morning to the disposable things that we have in our lifestyle, to not actually helping ourselves, but also our planet in the process. We have no problem going to a coffee shop, getting a Starbucks, wherever, from a paper cup, which then was processed from a very large plant, from a farm that was only doing coffee and doing it in mass quantities for this company. And from that chain, all the way from the raw materials to the actual processing of this, to the distribution, all of that is a global operation. It's hard to say I'm going to do something about that when you've got 25 different steps in that chain. But that's really convenient. It's really easy to get then, because I don't have to do any of that. It's a much different prospect if you were to say, I'm going to buy from a very small farmer the beans from a small farm that lives in a high mountain area of Costa Rica that they've had for 7 generations, and the actual land doesn't look like anything's changed because they are understanding of it through those generations that they need to sustain the environment in there so that their crop has that quality they're looking for, that gets shipped one time to a roasting facility in the US, that then gets packaged and put on a shelf. So the supply chain cuts by 75%, maybe 90%, I don't know. But then instead of me going somewhere and buying the cup and getting this person and doing all this, I'm actually grinding it myself, putting it in a coffee maker, which, yeah, it is a much less burden than going to someplace, and I can reuse that to a coffee cup that I've owned for 10 years. So they call it that carbon footprint, goes way down. But I'm going to take it a step farther in saying we got to do the same thing with our bodies. If we don't use it, we lose it. So when we live a sedentary, convenient lifestyle, our body starts to break down in the same way. And we then have to utilize more things to keep our body running that have all these other things going on. Whereas if we were to actually move, and I don't mean go to the gym, you can do that as well, but do things that actually foster reusability or sustainability, going back to have a garden, raise animals. We have chickens, we have ducks, we now have turkeys, we have mini donkeys, all of which is utilized in different ways, whether it be fertilizer for our garden, whether it just be companionship of we have to get out because we got to take care of our animals. It fosters activity. Well, when you're doing things outside, what you're not doing is eating, using, doing something that's disposable. Just simple is think of it from a standpoint of get a dose of nature. It does wonders for you. Our bodies are made for that. Seeing nature on a screensaver is not the same thing. I mean, I literally have to prescribe nature to some of my families because their children or they are dealing with constant overload from an overstimulation standpoint. And I tell them, you ever go for a walk in a forest? You ever go on a hiking trail? It does wonders for you. And do not just bring your phone and take pictures. It has to be electronics free. Just absorb it in your mind. Take a picture with your memory. Then go back again if you want to do it again. And it just changes that understanding of how do I get through my day? And it really kind of closes in our experiences to being more where we are versus wondering if somebody is doing something in the middle of China or seeing what celebrity is doing what at some point of some day. It is so a different mindset, but from our way our body reacts, our body is drawn to that constantly.
I used to say autoimmunity and inflammation and some of the processes that contribute to chronic complex diseases, including dysfunction of our brains, started in the gut. Now I actually go a step further and say it starts in our soils. What's happened over time is we've used products, things like herbicides, pesticides, glyphosate, and we're actually changing the microbiome of our soils. So what happens is originally glyphosate was created as a mineral chelator. And then they found out it killed weeds because it would block the mineral absorption of those weeds. What that does in our guts and our bodies and in the soil is it blocks the mineral absorption. So what happens is in the plants that we grow today, especially in glyphosate-rich soils or where it's been sprayed with glyphosate, they're a lot less mineral dense. So you can even have an organic product, but if that soil is depleted, and I usually say for comparison, compared to our grandmother's apple, the apple of today is probably about 1/5 of the magnesium content. And that's important because these minerals and nutrients are absolutely critical to enzyme processes in our body, to our brain function, to our cells. If we're eating even great food from nutrient-depleted soil, we are not getting the nutrients we need. So that's the foundation, and I explain that because what that means is even in a healthy, organic, locally grown diet, we still need to add nutritional supplementation to put back the things that we're missing in our soils.
When we think about our indigenous tribes, they live in harmony with the environment. They live very closely to the soil. They live and breathe and exist within the soil itself, and then much of what they eat comes out of the soil. And so they exchange microbes all the time with the soil. Not only are they getting microbes from the soil, from the foods that they dig and they harvest from the soil, but then when they defecate, they're putting microbes back into the soil, right? So this beautiful cyclical pattern of microbes going in and out of the system, functioning to some degree in the soil, coming back in, functioning to some degree in the gut, and then new microbes being developed through that process that we gain exposure to, that the soil gains exposure to as well. So the health of the soil is exactly analogous to the health of our gut. The soil and the roots of the plant are very similar biologically to the lining of our gut. So in fact, when you look at the roots of the plant, that's the site of absorption for the plant for nutrients that it's going to utilize to grow, and the nutrients it's going to utilize to produce more nutrients within the plant itself. The roots of the plant will actually secrete antimicrobials or chemical attractants to stop certain bacteria and attract other bacteria to the root, right? Because it wants bacteria that's going to help it break down nutrients and absorb those nutrients into the plant. That's the same thing that's happening in our intestinal lining. We have immune cells that'll secrete antimicrobials to prevent certain bacteria from colonizing, but will secrete things that favor other beneficial bacteria to colonize because we know that those good bacteria will help us digest, break down food, and assimilate the nutrients. So we know what happens to the disease process when that breaks down in our gut. But what we're ignoring is the disease process that's happening in the soil. As our soil becomes depleted because of overplanting, because of an overuse of chemistry and chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, our soil is becoming dead. And as a result of our soil becoming dead, our plants cannot harvest and utilize nutrients perfectly. And so basically what we end up seeing is three big problems, right? One is that the food that we're growing has a fraction of the nutrition now than they had 50 years ago, right? You take a simple thing like spinach or broccoli or any of these crops, they have about half the nutritious value as they did 40, 50 years ago. The other problem is we're depleting the number of crop cycles that we can have on the fertilizable or the growable part of the planet, right? We have a very limited number of crop cycles in so much of the farmland in the planet today, which means that many areas in the world where we grow food today to feed humans, we will not be able to grow food there in a few decades, right? So the amount of space that we have to grow food will shrink dramatically. That's another big problem. We're also decimating the oceans based on agricultural practices. This is an area we're doing a lot of work in because one of the key elements for most plants to grow is something called phosphorus. And plants need to be able to take up phosphorus from the soil in order for them to grow. It's a very important nutrient for plants. But plants count on bacteria to break down and take up inorganic phosphorus or organic phosphorus into their system. Plants today, because of the dead soil, don't take up phosphorus well. So what we're doing is we're using phosphorus as a supplement for the soil and inundating the soil with phosphorus. A lot of that phosphorus is running off into rivers and streams and ending up in the ocean. In the ocean, phosphorus changes the ecosystem of the ocean. It causes things like algae blooms and things that are not natural to the ocean. When it causes algae blooms, it can actually change the microbes that live on the surface area of the ocean. And here's a crazy connection. When it changes the microbes that live on the surface area of the ocean, it changes the ocean spray chemistry and biology that goes up into the environment. So when the waves crash at the edge of the ocean, at the edge of the shore, and it crashes into the shoreline, it crashes into rocks and all that, it creates this aerosol that you can see, right? This aerosol of liquid. In that aerosol are bacteria, tiny bacteria. That aerosol moves up into the upper atmosphere, and that's where condensation occurs upon those bacteria. Clouds form on bacteria. Clouds over the ocean and clouds on the coastline form on bacteria. So we look at these white, fluffy, beautiful clouds. You might think they're pure, clean, sterile. No, that's a giant cloud of bacteria up there. As the bacteria in the ocean changes, it changes the types of clouds that form over the top of the ocean, which changes weather patterns. And the weather pattern completely changes our environment. So we're looking at dead soil causing us to over-supplement the soil with things like phosphorus, that phosphorus running off into the ocean, changing the biology of the ocean, which then changes the formation of clouds above us, which changes the weather system, creates more drought, creates more forest fires, and creates more inability to plant more food, which makes us use more water and drives more disruption to the ecosystem, right? So it's all connected beautifully. And we've done some studies now at Montana State University where we simply add back some ferment from our fermentation for making probiotics, and we add back one of the spore strains into the soil, and we more than triple the growth rate of some of these plants. We've done things like spinach or hemp, and we see a significant utilization of phosphorus, of normal organic phosphorus in the soil, and the ability of the plant to grow to the right size and the right height and the right weight. And we're seeing improvements in the nutritional quality of the plants as well. All that by just adding some microbial life back to the soil. So this is one of the scariest things that's occurring to us on this planet, is that our ability to grow food, our ability to maintain our oceans, our ability to have normal non-temperamental weather, all of those things are being dictated by the microbes in the soil, and we're depleting the microbes in the soil. Just like we're depleting it in our gut, and we already see the disease that is occurring within the gut, but we're causing planetary level disease to the planet by depleting the soil. There are a number of things that we can do as a species right now to start restoring that link between us and the planet, and helping the planet, which in turn helps us, and of course helping us, which in turn helps the planet, right? And again, it comes back to that microbial community. The planet exists in large part because of the microbes that exist on the planet. The early atmospheres of the Earth were created by microbes, right? And Earth wouldn't exist today as a blue planet without the microbes that created the atmosphere. We wouldn't exist today if it wasn't for the microbes that made up our cells and make up this whole human structure. So we're both, the planet and us, are dependent on microbes. So it's about re-engaging with the microbial community. And there's a few simple ways to do that, right? Let's talk about food, for example. If you have the capability in your home, start growing a small garden of your own using healthy soil and maybe you just go get the soil from the forest. You don't actually buy the packaged soil at the hardware store. You actually go and dig up and bring some soil from the forest. Fill up a few pots, bring it back home, and start growing your own organic food. Number one, that'll do a few things. Healthy soil is the number one recapturing mechanism of carbon in the atmosphere, right? So if every household had small amounts of healthy soil, it would really add up to a significant amount of recapture of carbon. So that in itself can help the environment. Number two, it provides you with the more nutritious level of food, right? And even if you're growing 2 or 3 things, let's say tomatoes and cucumbers and carrots, just 3 things out of your diet come in the most organic, healthiest form will significantly improve your overall health over time. In addition, it gives you an engagement with the microbial community in the soil. So that helps with our engagement with the microbial community. So you can start by doing that. That's a simple thing most people can do even in apartments. Even if you don't have a yard and all that, you can still grow small crops in pots in apartments as well. So that's something people can do. The other thing you can do is make decisions with your wallet, right? There's this great movement of biodynamic farming right now, and that goes beyond organic farming, because organic farming was just the process of stopping the use of lots of egregious compounds, but organic farming doesn't address the dead soil. So the next step is biodynamic farming, which is about restoring the soil first, and then planting in that restored soil, and then between harvests, maintaining the health of the soil. So look for and identify food sources that come from biodynamic farming. And there's a lot. There are lots of proteins and legumes and all that are grown biodynamically. You just have to search for a little bit and make those choices. Because as you start making those choices with the wallet, the industry will respond, right? And they've done that with organic. We've seen the growth of organic products. Because people are making the choice with their wallets, more and more farms are becoming organic over time. If you make that choice with your wallet with biodynamic, more and more farms will become biodynamic and will save a lot of the planet and a lot of the farmland. The other thing that you can do is spend some time in nature. I try to be prescriptive about my time outdoor. It's like medicine. So prescribe it to yourself. Say that you're going to spend 30 minutes at a time, 3 times a week outside in nature. And we're not talking about walking down the sidewalk in your neighborhood. We're talking about going out to untouched areas, the beach if you live near the coast, or a forest preserve, or go on a hike somewhere in untouched nature, but spend a prescriptive amount of time. I promise you that there's studies and lots of anecdotes that show that has a profound effect on your being, on your ecosystem, and on your overall wellness. The other thing we can do is start reducing the amount of chemicals that we bring into our household and that we put on ourselves. One of the projects I've done for myself personally is I've taken a personal care product, like I'll choose deodorant, and I'll go, I'm going to try a bunch of things and find the cleanest deodorant that works well for my chemistry, right? So I go through a 4, 5, 6 month process, trying all kinds of different deodorants. The cleaner, the more natural, the better. And eventually you'll find one that works well for your chemistry. I do the same thing with soap, with toothpaste, with lotions. And I've gone through that process for myself because number one, I want to put cleaner things in my system. I don't want to compromise my system as much as normally people would. And number two, I want to make a choice economically to select things that are better for me and better for the planet. And everybody can do this, but we don't want to make it seem overwhelming. We don't want to make you feel like you have to clear out your medicine cabinet and start over, right? Or you have to clear out your pantry and start over. Pick one thing. Pick deodorant, pick toothpaste, pick lotion, whatever it may be, and find the cleanest version that works well for you. Do a little bit of research, read things online, listen to experts about it, and make those choices. So as you do that, it dramatically improves the economics around natural, clean products. And when that happens, industry will choose to make more natural, clean products that'll save the planet and it'll save your body as well. Another very simple thing you can do is bring a dog into your household. There are lots and lots of pets out there that need homes. There are studies that show that households that have dogs actually have kids with fewer incidents of asthma, allergies, viral infections, and so on. In fact, in January of 2020, a study came out that showed when you bring a dog into your household, it increases your longevity. And this is a symbiotic relationship because the dog is going to run outside, pick up all kinds of microbes, and bring it back into your home. And adding to that, You don't have to sterilize your home either, right? Most surfaces in your home do not have to be sterilized. Maybe your toilet every once in a while. Maybe if you're growing mold and mildew in your shower, you can do something about it every once in a while. Or if you bring a raw chicken home and you get some raw chicken juice on your countertops, you want to sterilize that because there's probably salmonella in there. Other than that, most contact surfaces in your home do not have to be sterilized. Most of my house, we clean with a bottle of water. We might put 1 or 2 drops of essential oil for a little bit of smell, and we just wipe it down, right? So the more of an ecosystem we build in our households, in our gardens, in our cars, in our offices, the better off we are and the better off our planet is as well. So these are a few simple things we can each do, and collectively it'll make a significant impact, not only in the planet we live in, but our own ecosystems within. These aren't difficult choices. These aren't complex things. But the thing that people, I think, resist the most is they feel that those simple choices don't have an impact. I can promise you they do. You changing your toothpaste will start a revolution. You changing your toothpaste will create an economic shift because other people will do the same thing as well, right? So we all have the power to make this change, and the change is not that hard. It's not that complicated. We have the choices out there.
Improving the environment is crucial to improving our health. And a great example of that is with our farming. When we look at industrial farming, the 3 things that are replaced in the fertilizers are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, NPK. Whenever you look at these fertilizers, that's what you see. And unfortunately, the micronutrients, the zinc and the magnesium, are not being replaced. And so we are deficient in these important minerals. And so rotating your crops, using fertilizers that replace all the micronutrients, allowing time in between the farming of the land so that it can regenerate, those things are crucial, and they help us because now the plants are more nourishing to us. We used to think that we could get enough magnesium by eating dark green leafy vegetables. Well, I hate to tell you, but the vegetables can only give it to you if they can extract it from the soil. And the soils right now are so depleted in these micronutrients that we're not getting them from the foods we eat.
How smart is that? As customers, we can vote with our purchases to cause a shift both in our product quality and quantity. There's one issue though. We consume foods or other products only a few times a day, but we breathe all the time. And as you know, air is another major source of pollution. But that's not just because of cars or factories. The quality of air in your home might be even more important, and as you're about to hear, can determine your brain health just as much as other environmental factors. Would you consider air pollution in your area a threat? You may be surprised by what Dr. Austin Perlmutter has to say.
I believe that the single biggest hidden threat to brain health is the air we breathe. I think it's as simple as that. If you look at what organizations around the world are deeming the top threats to overall and brain health, it's air pollution at the top of the list. It is the top environmental cause of early death around the world. But what we're seeing now is that the air that we breathe has a direct effect on our brain health. You think about what would happen if you stopped eating, stopped drinking water. You'd make it at least a few days without water. You'd probably make it a few weeks, maybe even over a month without food. But if you stop breathing, you're dead in minutes. And we take around 20,000 breaths each day. We've seen a number of people talk about the value of things like breath work, making sure that you're breathing the right way, deep breathing, and all these other things that are very important. But who's talking about what we're breathing? It's like as though the conversation about food was all about how we eat, the speed we eat, being mindful. That's important, but also the specifics of what we're eating matter. So the air we breathe has a major role in our overall and our brain health. In the last just a couple years, we've seen several papers published that directly associate the quality of the air that we breathe with brain health outcomes. And those are risks for dementia, risks for depression, as well as short-term cognition. So let's break that down. If we're talking about risk factors for dementia, specifically Alzheimer's dementia, the Lancet has recently declared that air pollution is a primary driver of this condition. We're not beating around the bush anymore. The air we breathe has a direct effect on our risk for Alzheimer's disease. There is no cure for Alzheimer's disease as we sit here right now. So why would we not pay attention to that? Similarly, when we talk about depression, a condition affecting hundreds of millions of people around the world, if air pollution is a major contributor to this condition, which it seems to be, wouldn't we want to pay attention to this? And finally, I'll just say, you may not be as worried about the long-term risk for mood disorders, for dementia. Air pollution changes how you think today. If you want to be sharp at work, in your office, in your home, the air you breathe is a major driver of this effect. A recent study looked at the difference between a polluted office and a clean office, and then gauged people's brain abilities and found that cognition dropped off dramatically when there were higher levels of air pollution in the office. So I would say this is absolutely the hidden toxin that we need to be talking about as it relates to brain health. And the good news is there are many things that we can be doing to help improve our air quality today. The conversation about air pollution is one that is directly relevant to your health today. It's also relevant to the health of the next generation and to the planet as a whole. And I think there are a few topics that can cover that many different themes at the same time. So let's start with what we all tend to care about most, which is ourselves. If you care about your health, if you especially care about your brain health, then you need to care about the air you breathe. What can you do to improve the quality of the air that you breathe? Well, at a very basic level, you want to decrease the amount of pollutants in your environment. You want to increase the amount of clean air. It's that simple. So what can you do to make that happen? Well, one of the things is basically just increasing the filtration rate wherever you are. So if you have an air purifier, use that. If you have a fan and an air conditioning system, make sure it has a new filter and run that. These are very simple things. One of the things, though, that I think most people overlook, I would say just about everyone overlooks, is that you don't want to unnecessarily pollute your environment. And here's something that we all need to be aware of. Indoor air pollution is a much bigger deal than outdoor air pollution. We all get worried about the wildfire smoke, and that makes sense. But the majority of the pollution that you're going to be inhaling, you are creating in your home and in your office. And where does it come from? Well, it comes from cooking. And I know there's some controversy around this, but yes, gas stoves produce more air pollution than electric stoves and induction cooktops. I'm not saying that I don't love gas stoves. They're amazing for cooking, but you need to ventilate them. You need to use a hood. You need to open your windows. You need to use an air purifier in your kitchen if you don't have those options. Beyond that, one of the biggest hidden toxins that increases air pollution is our fragrances. So specifically air fresheners. This is a market that historically has preyed upon our desire to associate things that smell nice with health. People put terms like natural and fresh in these products, but what are they doing? They're actually just creating air pollutants like volatile organic compounds. Turns out that scented candles, air fresheners, and other things that people use to make their homes and cars and offices smell good emit a ton of air pollution. So I'm gonna go on camera, go on record saying, you gotta ditch those. If you feel compelled to use these things, beeswax candles emit a whole lot less air pollution. If you wanna use cleaning products, use those that don't have scents. You don't need to have that extra scent. Plus, a lot of these products are actually created with synthetic chemicals, including those that are derived directly from the petroleum industry. So you really don't wanna be doing this. One other variable I'll just bring up here is that when you buy new furniture, specifically things made of pressed wood or basically engineered wood, new carpets, if you have paint in your house, these things off-gas these volatile organic compounds, and you don't want that happening. So you can look for products that are marked as low VOCs. It might also make sense to allow these things to hang out in the garage instead of inside for long enough that they can actually off-gas some of these chemicals. So you really want to be doing these things today for your own health. But what about the bigger picture? Well, it turns out that air pollution compromises our reproductive abilities. I'm gonna say that again. If you're interested in having kids, you don't wanna be breathing in air pollution. It decreases your fertility. One of the ways it might do this is by damaging your metabolic health. And here's something that very few people know. Weight gain is associated with air pollution. If you are trying to lose weight, you don't want to be breathing in toxic air. Toxic air increases inflammation, increases oxidative stress, two pathways linked to weight gain. So let's go big here for just a moment. This is planet, this is next generation stuff. Turns out that air pollution is compromising not just our individual health, but the fate of the planet. And this happens in a number of different ways. So obviously air pollution is a contributor to greenhouse gas. Air pollutions are greenhouse gases. But something that I think about is that air pollution actually damages the brains of everyone on Earth, makes them less likely to care about things like the environment and other people, that's a big, big concern. Because what we're talking about here is that air pollution is not only damaging the planet directly by contributing to climate change, killing off animals, killing off plants, but it's also kind of changing the mentality of the planet to make us less able to see the bigger picture. So obviously I'm passionate about this, but if I was to put some money on what we're going to see in the years to come as far as a major hidden threat to brain health and overall health that gets a whole lot more spotlight, it's the air that we breathe.
I feel that I learned from Dr. Ray doing phone consultations with patients that they're supposed to look at scorecard.org and get an idea from their zip code what pollutants are in the air. So what's the level of ozone? What's the level of sulfur dioxide? And you cannot take an environmentally sensitive patient and have them live in a city and expect them to get well, period. You're not going to do well. So I wanted to live, and I decided to go. I had a little cottage on Martha's Vineyard. My patients do well near the ocean. It's free. So when they're here or they go to Mykonos or the Virgin Islands to live, they do much better because the pollutant load over the ocean is so much lower. There's no diesel exhaust. There may be coal-burning fire plants, from New York or whatever, wafting up. But in general, near the water, people feel good. So if you have a house that's in the woods, the mold count would be high. If you have a house that's near agriculture, you're going to have pesticide exposure. You can't do that. Once you're environmentally ill, you need to select very carefully where the house is going to be or apartment, and then create the oasis bedroom in your house.
If air pollution is mostly coming from your own house, then how can you make sure you live in a safe environment? Well, Dr. Lisa Naj used the term oasis, and it's exactly what you need to aim for. However, this doesn't mean you have to move or invest thousands of dollars into renovation. Here's a simple checklist that will allow you to clean your house and get rid of harmful toxins.
Most of our food come in plasticized containers. Fruits, vegetables may contain pesticide remnants like glyphosate. Thankfully, 20 years ago, organic foods were rare. Today, they're much, much more available, much more common. So please, eat organic. The other thing is make sure your environment, your indoor environment is clean. People will eat organic food and then they'll wash their floors and their dishes and their clothes with all kinds of chemicals. Think of what you're doing to prevent these problems. Try to go organic all the way, including cleaning products, etc. Look at your shampoo. It's got 20 different chemicals in it or however many. Try to do things like people did them for thousands of generations before us. And you'd be surprised how you can prevent things from happening.
Nature is an important part of healing because it's our acceptance of our connection, our wholeness with everything around us. And by itself, that state of mind will really alone will diminish a lot of negative thought patterns. We create our reality, and a good way to create our reality is to be out in nature with its simplicity, where animals or plants are living in a very graceful state, and it reminds us of where we could be and how we could be. So for me, it's very important. And some people might find other ways. For some, it may be music. But I would say everybody to some degree will connect with nature. And I feel it's particularly important, even physiologically, to connect, feel, touch, breathe in the air. And particularly important for people who live in cities sometimes to take breaks every once in a while, go out in nature and get connected to the overall ecosystem.
It's a monumental task and it's overwhelming. When we look at the level of toxicity in the world and what it's done to our planet, you feel like as one person, how much can I do? But as one person, you do what you can for you do what you can for your family, you do what you can for your neighbors. And the way that we make impact is you lead by example. You start showing the impact of what it is to live a cleaner life, to use less toxic chemicals in and around your home. And hopefully that word spreads to your neighbors and then to their neighbors and their friends and their family. And I think if we can start showing that it doesn't have to impact our lives in a negative way, that by making these subtle changes over time, we start influencing future generations. And I think that's really key too, is that we need to start teaching our kids about sustainable living. We need to teach them about toxins. We need to teach them about why we don't go to McDonald's every week. Why do we use certain things in the house? And as we start educating that next generation, they'll educate their next generation. So I don't know this is something we can fix in the next 5 or 10 years, but if we can really start taking stock of ourselves and our own family and teach the next generation, I think that gives us a fighting chance as a species to get our planet much healthier.
This is the perfect way to end our docu-series. The experts described our mission with the Beyond the Brain spot on. Start improving your own health by implementing lifestyle changes and then lead others by example. And remember, you have all the support you need to succeed. 11 episodes of Beyond the Brain at your disposal anytime, with over 1,000 health bites in short format across 40 different shows that you can start watching right now. Over 150 doctors and health experts from Zonia, like those in the Beyond the Brain docu-series, share their very best tips and techniques to reverse brain damage, tackle cognitive decline and negative emotions, and get back on track with your mood, sleep, nutrition, and personal development. So now is the perfect time to get started. Join Zonia today and make the commitment to become the best version of yourself. Happy, energetic, and confident. The person who looks in the mirror without regret. Also, this is our final bonus episode, which means we are closing the doors to the Beyond the Brain docu-series inside our platform very soon. And one last friendly reminder that we have decided to add over $2,763 worth of free essential bonuses to our Zonia platform for everyone who joins Zonia during the free screening of this bonus episode only. First, a friendly reminder that if you choose the annual Zonia plan, you receive our all-natural detox and sleep supplement bundle absolutely free. This bundle includes 1 bottle of our Restore Detox supplement that has 6 science-backed herbal ingredients which help your body flush out dangerous toxins, plus 1 bottle of our Restore Sleep supplement, the ultimate magnesium complex to promote deep restorative sleep. Both supplements are worth $158, which is more than the annual plan for Zonia itself, and you'll be getting them for free, together with all the other bonuses. These bonuses include downloadable PDF transcripts and MP3 audios of all 11 episodes of Beyond the Brain, so you can read or listen offline each episode anytime and anywhere you want. Plus, you receive 40 full-length, uncut, uncensored interviews with all 40 doctors and health experts of our Beyond the Brain docu-series. You receive on-demand video access to all of them, plus, again, downloadable PDF transcripts and MP3 audios of all interviews. In addition, you'll get 3 longevity interviews with 3 healthy non-Nigerians and their secrets. You'll also get over $1,500 worth of free essential bonuses from our trusted health partners. The total value of all these bonuses comes down to $2,763, but you'll get them all for free, plus on-demand access to all 11 episodes of Beyond the Brain if you join Zonia today for less than 50 cents a day. This special offer is available only during this free screening of this bonus episode that ends in less than 24 hours. This means if you decide to join Zonia after this free special screening, you'll still have access to over 1,000 short health bites on Zonia. However, you'll not only lose the chance to get over $2,763 worth of free essential bonuses, but all 11 episodes of our Beyond the Brain docu-series will be gone from Zonia for all new members who join after this free screening. So don't wait. Time is flying and you don't want to miss out on this opportunity to join Zonia. We already have an unprecedented number of people joining and loving the content because Zonia is the perfect complementary resource to Beyond the Brain. Inside your brain health oasis, you have your nutritionist, your personal trainer, your therapist, and your personal development online coach 24/7 in your pocket with one tap of a button. Even if we could charge hundreds of dollars for access to this premium content, Zonia is and will stay very affordable. Support our mission and become part of the revolution by joining today. We want to see you succeed, and we are 100% behind you. The question is, are you one of those people who really want to see their life change for the better? If so, checking out Zonia to see how it can help you achieve that goal is the next logical step. I hope you take advantage of this offer, and in a couple of weeks or months from now, you'll be writing us an email with your fascinating journey towards healing. I trust you found the information in our docuseries useful and that you'll use it to create a positive change in your life and for those around you. I want to officially congratulate you for going through all the episodes, considering how much knowledge they hold. Remember to never lose hope. And as long as you stick to your protocol and goals, the results will surely come. My name is Stefan. It's been an honor, and I'm sure we'll see each other in the near future. Cheers, my friend.